pretty much anything.
Well, when I was in high school, initially I thought that I want to study philosophy. Then my parents did dissuade me, saying that this is not really something that I can make a living from. And then I was very strong in math and science, and I liked that. So ultimately, in my last year in high school, philosophy was way forgotten. And I was basically thinking between physics and engineering. And finally I decided for engineering.
If I hadn't become an engineer, I probably would have gone after medicine. I actually didn't have female role models growing up.
I didn't really have many female role models growing up.
No, I can't really think of any female ones.
No. Nope. None. Except in the books and the movies.
I would say one of my female role models was Xena, the warrior princess.
My mom's an engineer, and my two older sisters are both engineers. In our house, in our playroom in the basement, there's a big sign, like a poster that's framed. It has a picture of a woman with a wrench fixing a bike wheel, and it says, "When I grow up, I want to be an engineer just like my mom."
I can't say I was one of those people that always wanted engineering from age 2 and was playing with Lego and mechano sets kind of thing. Well, I would say starting salaries are about 50,000 for any kind of engineering. And after that, really the potential to earn more, so over 100,000 and 200,000 kind of level, is to go up in higher management. So managing engineers or managing companies, managing divisions. Your background as an engineer suits you for that kind of leadership position.
It's also a well-known fact that really, really good engineers never actually stay in engineering, it seems. You know, CEOs of financial institutions are engineers. You find engineers everywhere, and so earning potential in pure engineering, I would probably say that it would be in the research. Would probably be in the research area. Most engineers, the good communicators, invariably end up leaving engineering eventually and going on to manage.
I'm going into the oil and gas industry, so I'm expecting about 60 to 70,000.
I know my first co-op at St. Michael's, they just hired a new engineer, and she told me that she was making, I think it was in the $60,000 a year range. So I guess somewhere around there I would think is reasonable for starting.
If you're referring to an industrial job, so working in the industry, I think for a undergrad, you would expect to get around 50, 60,000 a year, which isn't great, but I mean it goes up from there. If you stay in academia, for example, as a graduate student, it's not great. It's like 40,000 at max. As if you stay in academia and become a professor, then it goes up a lot. And I think most of our professors are reaching the $150,000 limit at this point, and that's really where it starts, so it goes even higher than that.
Now, the industrial R&D, research and development, is somewhat limited. You are basically told what you have to do. It's not bad. I mean, there are very interesting projects in industry as well. But you cannot compare the situation with academia, where you have full freedom. As a professor, you are the one who decides what is the research to be done. So I like the freedom that I'm given to decide at any given moment of time what to pursue as a research topic and how to do it. Choose your own team. These are your students, your postdoctoral fellows. More or less, you have full control over your research when you are a university professor.
There's not a lot of industrial applications of biomedical engineering, and I feel like the potential of biomedical engineering has not yet been tapped, and that we haven't really realized what we can do in terms of research. With cells and organs and things like that, that we're tissue engineering. So I feel like before we can push it to industry and that we're making these large scale to apply in medical practice, we have to fully understand what's going on. And I think it's too early for that. So me personally, I'm very curious. It's my nature. So I like to poke and prod and learn about things in a mathematical, logical way. So research is perfect for me to help kind of tap into that potential and understand really what we can do with biology.
I remember there was one time I was sanding. It just was some plastic wrapped around a piece of metal, basically, but we had to sand it for a smooth finish, which meant there's a sanding belt rotating, and you just hold the piece of metal. Right, very, very, very simple. You just hold it flat, and somebody was like, let me show you how to do that. And it was just like, it's because I'm female, solely. There's no way he thought I was actually challenged.
I would say I've had lots of great opportunities from an engineering point of view to travel and to meet people and to see other factories. And I think the most challenging has been being a woman engineer in Japan, where it's primarily a male-dominated society, and most of the engineers there were male when I was traveling in the late 80s. And being treated like the secretary as opposed to the female engineer leading a project. So I would say the most interesting was trying to communicate through a different language, through an interpreter, and trying to state, who I am and what my role is in the team, and basically asserting myself with the equivalent counterparts in Japan.
There was one incident when I was going out to work with a gentleman at Bell Canada in London. He made some comment to me, or maybe he was a guy I worked with, that he didn't know whether I could do the job I was going out to do because I was a woman. Having never met me. And it's not like it was a physical job. I mean, it was, it was a pretty basic thing I was going out there to do. So it just made me laugh. And that sort of went around the office, and we all laughed about it because it was just so stupid.
Absolutely. After being here for 4 years, I have so many stories, but I will pick out one from last term, my academic term, where my class just had so many projects and assignments due that in November we all kind of decided to forego sleep for a while. So it came down to one of the last weeks in November, and we had our deterministic optimization project due. And my group, we were told by the prof that it should take about 15 hours each. So we decided, we'll start on Monday, it'll be done by Friday, put in 4 or 5 hours a day. It's tons of time to get it done. Not the case. So we were working on it all week, and then it came down to Thursday, and we realized that the problem we were solving was so huge and so complex that we could not solve it on our own. It would just take us way too long. We needed to write a computer program to solve it for us. It had that many equations in it. So we started coding Thursday around 3 p.m. I'd say. Realized that we probably weren't going to get sleep, so we went out for one good meal at Eastside Mario's. Took some food to go, and then stayed in the engineering buildings till 5 in the morning writing programs. We drank a lot of Jones soda because there's a lot of sugar and caffeine in that stuff, and it keeps you up all night. Drank a lot of coffee, and just stayed up to get the project done. In the end, we did pretty well, but it's just that type of thing where you're surrounded by your peers who are brilliant, and they're willing to stay up with you till 5 in the morning to get something done. And I mean, we're not getting paid to do this, we're doing this to get a good mark. It's just when you do that type of stuff, you realize that this will never happen again. When you're in the working world, people won't stay up till 5 in the morning with no pay